Hey everybody, it's Glenn, back in this video with Confessions of an Ebayaholic. You may know I'm working towards a Wolverine action figure evolution, which means hitting eBay trying to find Wolverine figures and not breaking the bank to do so. This week I scored the X-Men movie Logan vs. Rogue action figure 2-pack. I hope out of packaging Rogue's legs don't look like Annie Wilkes has taken a sledgehammer to them. Looking at the packaging back and other figures that accompanied the X-Men's big screen debut were Wolverine, Sabretooth, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Mystique, Logan, Storm, Magneto, Rogue, Professor X, and Toad. Then the other 2-packs were Wolverine vs. Sabretooth and Logan vs. Magneto. A lot of Wolverine. I have a hunch he might be a popular character. Here they are out of packaging. If you're a Marvel figure collector like me, then these are significant for being one of Toy Biz's first forays away from the 5-inch scale they had adopted for years, and so the dalliance into 6-inch scale began, which they later ran with in Marvel Legends, a torch now being carried by Hasbro to this very day. Really, I'd consider figures like this as stepping stones from the figures of the 90s that weren't really that different from those of the 80s or the 70s thinking about it, and today's modern action figures. The sculpt not quite up to today's standards, but in some ways the deco is superior to much of what you might buy today. The shading of the jeans emulates denim really nicely. The detail of the headdressed Indian belt buckle and the pattern on the shirt are all executed very well. In the 90s, Marvel sold movie rights with the fever that a born-again Christian sells Jesus. X-Men movie rights landed with Fox, where they remain today. To further avoid bankruptcy, Marvel and Toy Biz merged. I guess they were so hyped for a Marvel property to be hitting the big screen that the actors were plastered all over the packaging. Anna Paquin as Rogue, Hugh Jackman as Logan, and why not, the X-Men movie helped usher in the era of comic book movies that became a bubble that a decade and a half later shows no sign of bursting. Yet with a purchase of Marvel by Disney, it's strange to look back at figures like this. This year's X-Men Days of Future Past is the most successful X-Men movie ever, yet not an action figure from it is to be found. It's like Marvel are doing all they can to reduce the visibility of the X-Men movies. Quite the flip-flop, but I digress. The downside to the actors being splashed all over the packaging is that it provides a direct comparison of the likenesses of the figures to those actors, and the likenesses are so-so at best. Maybe Rogue a bit better than Wolverine. Taking a look at his claws, and on his left hand these are just static, whereas on his right hand these are spring-loaded. This is so we can complete the action feature, which is Wolverine stabbing Rogue, recreating that scene where she wakes him from a nightmare in the mansion. And you can just see the claws protruding from her back. And to be honest, I'm really disappointed with that. The psycho in me was really looking forward to stabbing Anna Paquin on the packaging back. We can see that the claws protrude out of the back really far, yet on the toy, hardly at all. Now looking at articulation, Wolverine's head rotates side to side. At the shoulder, his arms rotate. This arm also features a single jointed elbow, whereas this one doesn't, I assume to account for the spring-loaded action feature in that arm. Then there's rotation at the waist, and the hips, the legs swivel forwards, and then backwards. There's single jointed knees, and then that's it for him. Now looking at the articulation on Rogue, her head rotates side to side, inhibited somewhat by her hair. At the shoulder, her arm rotates. It moves up this much and then back down. She has a swivel at her sleeve there, and then there's waist rotation. At the hips, both the legs rotate, and then at the knees it's single jointed, and then she has rotation at the ankle, and the ankle is also hinged, moving backwards and forwards. So she doesn't have the horribly bowed misery legs that the picture on the packaging showed, but she is a bit tricky when it comes to standing and the posing, because one leg is noticeably shorter than the other one. So you do need to pose her in somewhat of a stepping pose. So I have a feeling nobody watching this will be hitting the keyboard to track down these figures on eBay, and with the disappointing action feature, I'm glad I only paid £8.70 for these, including the postage, but hey, it takes me one step closer to Wolverine action figure evolution. Anyway, for the previous episode, click this video, which coincidentally features rarely seen X-Men Days of Future Past toys, all the way from Mexico. As ever, it sure would make my claws pop if you could give this video a big thumbs up. Also comment, share and subscribe. Check out the description beneath this video for links to my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Click those links and connect with me there too. Hope to see you in my next video. Bye.